Good morning. Welcome to Sunnyside Journals. I'm Catherine. Welcome to 30 minutes of my day. I'm back. I've been missing in action for a week, and I've got to say, every single muscle in my body is screaming right now. But it's nice to have the work done. I'm in my new room. The other room where my old studio was is now a shambles, and we have to put it back together as our guest room. Fortunately, that we can sort of do a bit at a time because it's just hubby and I here. So, and we're not expecting any company anytime soon, thanks to this COVID situation. I'll put that in there where they go. You can see my good old desk is still the same. Now, fair warning, I'm going to do a tour of the room right now so you can see it while it's still, sorry, I'm getting more comfortable. So you can see it while it's still relatively tidy. It's going to look like my old room, only maybe a little bit more space for me to actually walk around and not trip over things. So I just thought I'd warn you in case you start watching it and go, what on earth is she talking about? It looks like her old room. It does. It's still all my old stuff with a couple of extra bookcases is basically it. But this is a bigger room. It's probably about 1/3 bigger than the room that I was squished into this time last week. So, and because of that, you'll be able to see, I've been able to give myself some more table spaces to sort of spread out and have projects waiting while I work on projects. I'll explain when I get to it. So, but fair warning, my phone will be handheld. So anyone who gets nauseated watching videos that are handheld, maybe this isn't the one for you. So I just thought I'd let you know. Yeah, so I'm going to pause right now and I'm going to go over to the door and then we'll do a little tour around the room. If you have any questions, post them down below and I'll do my best to answer because I'm just not going to be able to fit in everything I want to say in this short little time. So all right, hold on while I go over to the door. So here it is. Here's the new studio, the new old studio. I'm so happy with how this has worked out. As you can see, like I said, most of the stuff is what I had in the other room. I was just really packed in. So like these little shelves right here, they were already in my other room. I just had them up on the tables previously, which gave me more space. But now I can have them down lower and I don't feel so cluttered with my tables back there. I guess the biggest change, let me say now, is these huge Billy bookcases from IKEA. It's the best bang for your buck if you need bookcases, is to go to IKEA, the Billy bookcases. So how I've got them set up is these two cases here are my old books that I transform into junk journals. I have gathered them together in color groups because that's the way my brain works. When I'm working and finishing a journal, my brain craves a different color usually, and I'll start thinking, "Oh, I haven't done a red journal in a while. I really want to do a red journal." And now I'll just be able to go straight to my red books or straight to my blue books. By the way, red one. As you can see, green came in quite a close second. Blue's not too bad, but blue looks like there's more because there's some blue encyclopedias down there, and that's kind of cheating because that would mean that green should be more too, because right down here, those encyclopedias stacked right there are green. Now, you may wonder why I've got stacks in the centers. And from the research I did, Billy bookcases are notorious for eventually starting to sway if you put heavy things on them. And apparently, by stacking, it supports the shelf and hopefully will prevent them from wanting to start swaying. So we'll see. It's worth a try. I don't expect these bookcases to last a lifetime, just the rest of my career. I'm 60 years old. I'm not sure, I'd like to keep doing this for as long as my heart wants to keep doing it. So I'd like these to last as long as they can, but I didn't purchase them thinking that this was a heirloom piece of furniture that I will pass down to children someday. So they're useful and they'll do the trick. So, yes, so these are all books that will become journals. Some of these over here will also become journals, but they're also what I call my cutters. I remove pages from them. I remove illustrations from them. I remove spreads out of them. And you'll see over here, there's also a few boxes of my cutters under there. So when we get to that, I'll show you. These two cases, because they're behind where my desk is, have the things that I use all the time, every day, probably every few minutes, because I wanted to be able to recreate what I call my cockpit, so that when I sit in my chair, I can literally twirl around, grab a punch, twirl back and use it, twirl around, grab a paintbrush, twirl around and use it. Do you see what I mean? I wanted everything that I use, probably once an hour, to be within arm's reach. So that's why especially these lower shelves, are my frequently used tools and such. So, and now here's another new thing. So I'm going to step in. I finally have some reasonable paper storage. So I treated myself to a paper tower. This, for the most part, this is all my tea-dyed papers. There is a bit of cardstock down there. This is all pre-dyed, as Nancy said. So these papers have not been tea-dyed yet. And up here is a bit more scrapbook paper. Whatever I can find at thrift stores, you know the story. Up here are tea-dyed envelopes. Up here, I'm sorry, because my finger keeps making the focus go in and out. At the top here is spare glue, chemical kinds of things like Goo Gone, acetone, that sort of thing. It's up a little bit higher. And here, we'll walk a little closer now. And I've got my doweling here for book spines, extra ink for my printer. I put a little bit of art up there that I enjoy. And I'm just so pleased with this tower. It has worked out really well. Now, the scrapbooking paper that I've got there does it? Oh, yes, it does. This second shelf is full of my new Christmas scrapbook paper that a dear friend lovingly sent to me in Happy Mail, a huge stash of Christmas scrapbook paper that I'm looking forward to getting into and starting to work on some Christmas scrapbooks. So now let me back up a little bit. I'm going to try and do it slowly. Here's one of my treats that I was able to do. This is my table I was telling you about that's just near and dear to my heart because I saved my money, my own money, and bought it myself as a grown woman. But it was just such a treat because, I suddenly found myself as an unexpected single mother. And I was just proud of myself for doing that. So this is an IKEA table. And if you ever want to get one of these, now this is a sturdy thing, because I've had it for a while now. And I love it because it has leaves on both sides. It's solid birch. It weighs a ton. You actually need help to move this thing. It weighs so much. And it's got 3 drawers on either side. So I've been able to put my tools in there. I was able to put my glue gun and glue sticks in there. Now I put my iron under there because I'm also excited. I like to iron on wood. And usually what I would do before is grab one of my cutting boards and iron my paper on a cutting board. And now I'll just be able to iron it on this table. Don't be panicking. This is not a piece of fine furniture. This is a work surface for me. So I am happy to iron on this table. Anyhow, so I'm very happy also to finally, I'm not a big user of my printer Anyone who knows, I don't do digital prints. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just not me. But I do need it to print off postage labels and such. So I've finally been able to set up my printer right in my room. So I'm excited about that. There's all my paper presses. And here's my bigger cutting board. So I can finally leave this out. Those are going to they're being re-donated back to the thrift store. Underneath here, there's my paper shredder, because when I ship my books, I pack them in shredded paper to protect them. And I usually use old books as the shredded paper. Under here is my famous glue box for if I'm aerosol gluing. There's the crumpled paper that keeps your paper lifted so it doesn't adhere to the bottom of your glue box. Hold on, I've got to push this in. There we go. So that just fits under there nicely. And if I'm ever feeling cluttered, I can drop the side of that table. See how it's like a gate? And I can just fold this in, drop that down, and I've got lots of floor space. So we'll move over here. So as I said, I took these two shelves off of the tables and just set them up as shelves. And they hold my index cards, my library cards, card type things, recipe cards, are all in here. Some, I have my box of vintage ones. I have my box of newer ones that need to be tea dyed so that they look vintage. These ones really are genuine vintage. Down here is more, again, I apologize for my hand keeps making the focus go in and out. Anyhow, gear. Let's just say gear for now. Now, nothing's cast in stone here. As anyone knows, I'm going to have to live with this for a while, and the storage is going to evolve to what works better. You got a little taste of me putting up my artwork yesterday. I thought this little collection came out quite nice, and it was just serendipitous that it worked out that it was all black and red and white. So I'm really happy with how that turned out. I realized that I hadn't put in my little cardinal picture, and I'm not sure whether I'm going to or not, or I may put that and hang it into our spare room. It's special to me. But as ever, my inspiring board, I changed the words on it to welcome me into my new home. And then I've got a few things up here. Here's another thing that I bought for myself when I was suddenly single. And I loved it. This is a Canadian artist named Saw Boothroyd. And I love this. It said, "This is faith. This is a leap of faith." And she's leaping over fire. And I had to have that too. So, and I still love it. And of course, there's my mom and dad when they were dating, the handsome Air Force sergeant and his beautiful girl on his side. And you know what? Sorry, Merry Christmas. I love Christmas year round, so that little deer had to stay up. And of course, I'm Irish, this way for a Guinness. So, and there's just my teeny tiny little TV. I actually, believe it or not, usually have it on a radio station. I listen to a Toronto radio station throughout most of the day. So I don't have a radio anymore, and the TV actually gets the signal better, so I listen to it there. Now, here's a funny little leaning shelf. Again, it's got my ephemera in it, old stuff. So this is postcards. This is little invitation type cards and flower seeds. These are notepads. These are things that I've made out of game boxes and such. So that's already made ephemera. And that's just a box of envelopes. I need one more tub to fit on there. Let's move up here. So this is basically has become my sewing area. So there's my tower. It has doilies and lace and rickrack, that sort of thing. There's the little bunny I got one day. I put a little plant into it. And my mom's sewing machine. And my little holder that I found one day at a thrift store that holds the threads that I use most often. Up here is one of my, oh, come on. The window. Let's see if I turn it this way, if you can see it. I love that poster. That's one of those that's one of those thrift store things that I can't, it was in the store for weeks. And every time I would pop into my store and it was there, and my heart kept saying, I love that. And then I kept thinking, no, where am I going to put it? And I'd go back a week later, it's still there. And I go, oh, I love it. And finally, I think after about 4 or 5 weeks, and it was still there, I thought, all right, this is meant to come home with me. And I'm so glad I brought it home because I do love it. It's from our Stratford Festival here in Ontario. We have a town called Stratford, named after the Stratford in England, and we have a huge Shakespeare festival there every year. And well, there's a lot of live theater in Stratford. So yeah, so that oh, sorry, my daughter just messaged me and it popped up on the screen. So underneath is just my little bins of fabric, some more lace, and napkins and patterns. And underneath tables, I find is just such a great storage spot. So when we come over here, I was able to fit my other table in. I'm so happy about that. So those are my flat baskets that have journals that are in the process of being made. And underneath, I have, as I said before, my favorite books for pulling spreads out of to include into journals. All right, I'm going to back up a bit. So there is, those are my paintings, my watercolor paintings that were from books that I did. And so now we're going to come around and I'll show you my desk. So this is my old drafting table top. It was on a traditional antique drafting table base, which I still have downstairs, but I took it off because even at its lowest level, I still needed to use a drafting chair with it. And I just found with my age, the drafting chair was not the most comfortable to sit in, and I didn't like my dangly legs, and I didn't like having to hop down off of a drafting chair. So what I did was I took the top of my drafting table off the antique base, and it's a beautiful base. It's got the antique half wheel and then the smaller wheel. It's beautiful. It's not meant for a 60-year-old woman. So I've put it on this old table that actually was my dad's table. So that warms my heart, and I don't mind having that there. These aren't going to stay here. They're just artwork that I had on my walls. I'm not going to get rid of them because I am one of those people, I will switch up the art on my walls all the time. If I'll wait a few months and then I'll think, gee, I miss such and such a painting, and I'll go dig it out and I'll hang it up. So depending on my mood, the artwork on my walls can change. Here's my little vintage record album rack that I use to keep my Tupperware bins in, that has larger sheets of book papery type things that make nice end pages or what have you. So let's go around in behind into the cockpit here. My good old purple chair that hubby got for me. So I'm going to turn this around. Oh, there we go. It's hard when you're looking through. So when I sit here in the cockpit, let me sit down. I like to have this on my right-hand side. It's got my distress inks, my favorite glues, sanding pad, rulers, that sort of thing that, like I said, I want it handy to grab, to go over here and use to work on. There's my rocks, that sort of thing, all handy. Fortunately, this desk is big enough that I can actually put storage around the edges, and it works really, really nicely for me. There's my bricks that I use every single day, my bricks and my rocks. Here's my little stand that I put my phone on, and I just turn it around and hover my phone over the desk, and usually that's how I will record. And as I said, hold on, I'm going to sit down here. So down here is where I will keep gear. That is a bin of pieces of laces. So that's my first go-to. I don't like to have to cut up a nice long piece of lace. So that's lace pieces and fabric ruffles. It's my go-to first, and if I need a longer piece, then I hit over to where I keep my longer pieces. My punches, tapes, these are playing cards, those kind of cards, Monopoly cards for ephemera, washi tape, stamps, punches. These are the three punches I use the most. More vintage playing cards, crocodile, eyelets, that sort of thing, Metal Gear. Um, Pens and paintbrushes and such. There's my working journal now, my word snippet book. Here's my stack of teeny tiny ephemera. I love these. I got these at Dollarama, and I just have them listed what's in it, and I can just grab it, pull it out, get what I need, put it back. I've had these for a couple years now, and I like them. They work very well. More stamps in there. Those are my vintage magazines. They're mostly from the 40s, and I grab from them all the time. As we go higher, these are the music books that I grabbed from. Oh wait, no, sorry, again, I'm looking through my phone. These are books that I frequently grab from. These are my music books that I grab from. Up here are my Dick and Jane type books. These are the real deal. These ones are newer, but they are actually the Dick and Jane. But I found them at my thrift store, and they make terrific fussy cuts and page spreads because they're not falling apart. These poor old ones, they usually need to be fortified because not only are they old, but they've been well loved by many, many, many children. And then up here is beads, charms, pretty little sparkly dangles and buttons, ribbons, vintage greeting cards. What's that? Oh, those are my slides. So like, Kodak slides that are fun for using as a little frame. Boy, oh no, I was going to say, I think that's it, but it's not. Hold on, we're going to slowly turn around. My closet here, I was able to fit, hold on. So in the closet here, sometimes I need a apron if I'm doing something particularly splashy or messy. So I keep that there. I was able to put a shelf into the closet, and that's all my Christmas gear for making Christmas journals, except for that little pile down there. So I was happy to be able to get that organized so that it's still accessible for when I start making Christmas journals. Up here are things that I don't use very often. Those are refills of file folders. These are up here are undyed guest books. I love guest books. Grab them every time I see them. My Tyvek bin here. Because I'm doing fewer and fewer little golden book journals, I'm not going through the Tyvek that I used to go through. But I'm not ready to get rid of it yet because knowing me, I'll come full circle and start making lots of little golden book journals again. We'll see. Down below here is my bins that I replenish from, because those tiny little bins out there, if I use it up, I have to put more back into it. And that's what these bins are full of. And then that's just the case for my sewing machine. So, and I think the only thing left in there around the corner, but I'm not going to go in, is I have a sort of a paper garbage bin that's full of rolls of wallpaper. So, and wrapping paper. So that's in there. So yeah. Oh, I love this. I was able to fit Mary right on the wall there. And it even says, "Bless this mess," up there. I just love this. This was actually from the living quarters for the priest from the Catholic Church in our town. So, and I just think she's so beautiful. So she's in my room watching over. So there's my room. So you can see how much more space I have. I was able to successfully put my desk right in the center of the room, and I can easily, comfortably walk right around it and access everything. If I need to go get something, it's there, it's handy. And I'm just so looking forward to getting back to work. In fact, which leads me to say right now, I need to get back to videotaping because I have 3 finished books that I need to do a taping and then get the listing ready. And hopefully, they'll be going up onto Etsy maybe by Sunday or Monday. Um, we'll see. I'll let you know. So, thanks for visiting with me. Thanks for taking a look at my new room, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. Here in North America, it's a holiday weekend, so we get the Monday off, which is nice. And I hope everyone who is enjoying a holiday weekend, I hope you do it safely, still remembering to social distance, still remembering to put your mask on. Flu season is coming up, and they're saying that this virus is going to start creeping back up again. And if we can keep it under control, wouldn't that be great? And so we don't have the winter we had last winter. Yay, take care, everyone. Have a great weekend. Bye.